Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So the last thing, it was a ghabn fahish. I'll jog your memory inshallah. So the issue was if a person is at a place where water is sold and no any other water is available, what do you do in that case? So the author said, we will look at the price. What is the price? If it is a ghabn fahish, then you don't need to buy it. What is ghabn fahish? Ghabn fahish is 100% profit. Right? 100% profit. You bought something for £1, you sell it for £2. That is ghabn fahish. So if that person sells it, double the price, double his cost price, then that person will not be forced to buy that. Sharia says then he is allowed to do table. Okay? This is what we were doing. Now moving on. So if you guys have a PDF on your phones or not.
I was going to say about the ghabn fahish. Obviously, in case of like £1 worth profit, £2 worth profit. If you look at that profit, kind of the
Meaning at that time that person, because it's extortion, let's call it extortion. So if the price is extortionate, then you don't need to buy it. Then you can do them. Nowadays obviously we know, but no one's going to tell you the cost price anyway. Right? But let's say, argument's sake, that you are able to buy that water. Allah has given you wealth. You are able to buy that water. Right? From Sharia point of view, you are not required to buy it. But if you buy and make wuzu with it, there's nothing wrong with that. Islam does look after you. Okay. Now there's a scholar by the name of Abi Nasr as-Saffar. His real name is Ahmad bin Ishaq, and he passed away 405 AH. So we're looking at 1,000 years ago, right? He was from Mecca, and he passed away in Mecca as well. So Abi Nasr as-Saffar, he says that if a musafir, if a traveler is at that place where there isn't enough water, right? Water is scarce, right? Little amount of water, what do? He says that it is afzal, it is better that he asks his friend who has the water. So somebody has the water, right? It's better for him to ask his friend or ask his companion. And if he does not ask, then obviously it's permissible for him that he does tayammum and he performs salat with it. This is a situation where the water is in little amount. What if there is a water in a vast amount, in a good amount, that water is available? At that time, it is imperative that he asks. For example, if he's in a city, with him there is no water, but we can expect that the water to be in the city or within the buildings. Then at that time, it is imperative that he asks for the water. If they give, then he makes wuzu with it and pray namaz. If they don't, then he can do tayammum. But if he doesn't ask and he does tayammum and prays, then namaz will not be valid. Okay? Why? Because there's water available. Why did he not ask? Okay. There's a man and with him is Zamzam. And the Zamzam is in Qumquma. I didn't mention this last lesson, the last verse. The water is in Qumquma. What is Qumquma? Qumquma is like a leather pouch. Right? There's water, and the mouth of that leather pouch has been sealed. Okay? It's been tied up with a thread or something. And he's taking it lil atiyya. He's taking it as a gift. People, when you bring Zamzam from Mecca, or when you bring Zamzam from Umrah, people say, why do you bring Zamzam? This is not Indian Pakistani tradition. This book was written over 700 years ago. Even they're mentioning this, which means it was prevalent at that time that the people would bring the water of Zamzam, right? And not just for themselves, they would distribute it lil atiyya, as a gift to give away. That's the first thing. Second thing, the purpose of Mount Zamzam, right? The author says, "Aw lil istishfa," or you brought it to seek cure from it. Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Zamzam, I'm paraphrasing the hadith, Zamzam is for what the one desires. So whatever the intention is, inshallah, Zamzam, with the blessings of Zamzam, it will be fulfilled. And the scholars, they mention that it's referring to illnesses. That if someone is ill, then they should drink Zamzam water with the intention that, Ya Allah, grant me cure. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you cure, inshallah. So this person here is bringing Zamzam water. The mouth is sealed. He's taking it to give it away. Now he's run out of normal water, or he's stopped at a place where there is no water. What does he do? In yours, does it mention the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ? In your Ma'u Zamzama Shifa'un Lima Shuriba Lahu? No? Alright, okay. So the person brings it to give away for Shifa, and he runs out of normal water, there's no any other water available, then La Yajuzu Lahu Tayammum. It's not permissible for him to make tayammum. So what will he make wuzu with? Zamzam water. Now this person thought, right, he's going to be a bit clever. Right? The people with him, they already prayed the namaz. Right? So this person thought, right, okay, no, I'm going to be a bit clever here. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to give this water to my companion. وَلَوْ وَهَبَهُ لِآخَرَ. He gives it to someone else. He gifts it. And not just that, وَسَلَّمَهُ إِلَيْهِ. And he surrenders it as well. So it's not just saying, I'm going to gift you. No. Gift and give, both. The author says, لا يجوز له التيمم عندنا. According to the Hanafi scholars, it is not jaiz, it's not permissible for him to make tayammum. And whenever the author says indana, usually it means that there will be some kind of difference of opinion. Here is a difference of opinion with Imam Shafi'i, rahmatullahi ta'ala. Why? لثبوت القدرة بواسطة الرجوع كذا ذكره في المحيط. Why? Because according to Hanafi mazhab, if you gift someone something, then you still have the power to ask that person to return to you. If they used it in the meantime, that's a different matter. If they haven't used it, then you are allowed to ask them and they have to give it back to you. So now this person, the first person, he has this authority to ask his water back. Because of that authority, it's not permissible for him that he does that. That it will be bivasitati raju, meaning I'm asking to be returned.
What about the point of him surrendering it though? What was the point of mentioning?
Because if you still have it, then someone might say, well, he still has it, so he has no. This is the worst case scenario, that he intended to gift, and not just gift, he actually gave it as well. So now it's out of his control. But because he has gifted it, he has the authority, he has the power to ask for it back. He can ruju his gift. Now, if you give me a gift, don't expect for it to be returned. كَذَا ذَكَرَهُ فِي الْمُحِيطِ, as it is mentioned in the book Al-Muhit. Now, this is one of the best things about, the commentaries. This is the best thing about commentaries, because they mention here hila. Hila, loophole. They mention the loophole here. Why they mention the loophole here? Because if somebody asked for Zamzam water, so you're going on Umrah, somebody says, bring for us Zamzam water, and you say, inshallah, I will definitely will, most certainly will. So you made a promise to them. Now suddenly you were caught up in this situation, right? One side is your promise, one side is your namaz, right? So there is a hila. And the hila, the author says, now what to do is, if there is something like rose water or something like that with you, add that to water. When you add that to water, right, in a good amount, so then it will be still tahir, because rose water is tahir, is pure. Right? Then you can give it to someone else, or then you can keep it yourself. It doesn't matter, because it's not falling under the category of water anymore. But when you take it back, that person drinks it, it's absolutely fine, because Zamzam mixed with water, rose water, it's not going to be harmful to them. But this is only the worst case scenario. Right. There is water, right, but it's in the well. You can see the water. What do? You need bucket, you need rope to get the water out. So the author says, let's say you are at the well, right? You can see the water, but وَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ مَعَهُ دَلْوٌ, there is no bucket. أَوْ رِشَاءٌ, there is no rope. Then the author says, he poses a question, he says, هَلْ يَجِبُ عَلَيْهِ أَنْ يَسْأَلَ رَفِيقَهُ, is it wajib upon him that he asks his companions for the water? The author says, قَالُوا لَا يَجِبُ, it is not wajib for him to ask for the water. Yeah, there is a well there, but there is no bucket, or there is no rope. What is he going to do? قَالُوا لَا يَجِبُ, it's not wajib for him. But let's say he did ask, and فَقَالَ لَهُ, it was said to him, انتظر, wait. Then according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, he has to wait until the end of the time. حَتَّى يَنْتَظِرُ إِلَى آخِرِ الْوَقْتِ, he used to wait until the end of the time. So wait, just in case somebody comes with a bucket, just in case, right? Because that person has promised he might come back with the bucket, right? With the rope or a pulley or whatever. Right? You wait. Imam Azam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi said, you wait until end of the time. And فَإِنْ خَافَ فَوْتَ الْوَقْتِ, and when he realizes, no, now we're going into the dangerous time. If I don't make my tayammum, if I don't make my namaz, if I don't pray my namaz will become qaza. Imam Azam says, when that amount of time is left for you to do tayammum and for you to pray namaz, then it's a wajib upon you that you do tayammum and you pray your namaz. This is according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi ta'ala. Sahibain, they say wait. Yantaziro. He is to wait. Even if there is a fear of missing out on Adha namaz. They said no, you got to wait. Because they said, why? Because namaz with water, that is better, that is in a higher rank than, and currently he will be regarded as majboor. Wakada, and likewise for a person who is Ari, the one who does not have clothes, completely naked. He doesn't have any clothes, but his friend has clothes. His friends has clothes. So the author says that that person doesn't need to wait. That person doesn't need to wait. Why? Unless that person has a spare clothes, that's a different matter. But that person has whatever he's wearing, you have nothing, so he's gonna have to take his clothes off and then give it to you. Then, so the author says that no, you don't need to wait. You sit and pray. If you don't have clothes at all, then if you need to pray your namaz, one opinion is that you sit and pray. One opinion is that you lie down and pray. And one opinion is that you pray as normal. Right? The one sitting down and praying, that is more stronger than the rest. Okay. Now the author says, وَجْمَعُوا عَلَىٰ أَنَّهُ فِي الْمَاءِ يَنْتَظِرُ وَإِنْ فَاتَ الْوَقْتِ. All of the scholars agree that if a person, he says that let me make my wuzu, so there is a water and that person promises that person a water, and that person only says, look, let me make my wuzu. Once I have done my wuzu, then I'm going to give my water to you and you make wuzu with that. At that time, all three of them agree that that person has to wait. Even if there is a fear that the time will lapse, then he has to wait. Why? Because he knows the water is available. It's just that person is using it. Moving on. What if there is water, but the water is sur al-himari wal-baghl? It is the leftover water from a donkey or from a mule. Then what do? Actually, what's the ruling about the water that is left over from a donkey? What's the ruling? Is it tahir mutahir? Is it tahir ghair mutahir? Is it najis? Is it mashkook? It's mashkook. Yeah? Mashkook. Doubtful. And when you have that water available, what's the ruling? When you have mashkook water available, no tahir mutahir water available, what do? Wuzu, then tayammum. Wuzu and tayammum. Right? What would you do first? Wuzu first or tayammum first? If you do wuzu first and then you do tayammum, then that means potentially you will have dust on your face. Yes? And if you do tayammum first, then you make your wuzu, then there will be no athar, meaning nothing left over from your tayammum. So what do you do first? You do wuzu first. You do wuzu first. Why? Because you have water available. The only thing is that we have a doubt in its ability to purify. So we make wuzu first. And then we do tayammum. Why do we do tayammum? Because we know with tayammum we are going to completely purify ourselves. So whatever doubt that there was from wuzu, we've completed with tayammum.
Is there no procedure to like purify the water itself within passing it through like filtration or boiling it or something like that?
This is when we say leftover water, it means a donkey has drunk from it.
Yeah.
Right. So now donkey has drunk from it. There is a way. What you could do is you could add that water, make that water as a running water somehow, or add more water to it. No need to run it through filtration or anything. Add more water to it, make it into even larger quantity.
Even boiling it would that work, you know, make it clean.
It's all about, in Islam, it's all about quantity first,
Right.
and then about the smell, taste, and color. Right? So what you can do is you can add water on one side, let water flow out on the other side. It became running water. Now it's purified.
But then that water that you added on that side, how do you know this is what you say?
You're talking about filtration here. So after the water truck comes with that much amount of water, yeah, so we don't want to waste that. Okay. The author says, وَأَيَّهُمَا قَدَّمَ جَازَ. Right? Whichever we bring you forward is permissible. But I told you the better way, wuzu first and then tayammum. But if somebody does tayammum first, then wuzu, fine. Wuzu first, then tayammum, fine. Either way, it's fine. Okay. What if there is no water available except the leftover from horse? Horse has drunk from it. So the author says, فَعَنْ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَنْهُ رِوَايَتَانِ. The author says that there are two rulings from Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi ta'ala on this issue. However, we find that there are four. And the author says two, but there are four. The first one, that is mashkuk. The leftover water from the horse is mashkuk. What does it mean? Wuzu and then tayammum. Yeah, mashkuk. Second one, he says that it is makruh. It's makruh to use. The third one, he says najis. And the fourth ruling, and the author says, well, the commentator says, this is the sahih, this is the correct opinion from Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. And that is that the leftover water from horse is tahir, mutahhir, ghair makruh, meaning it's absolutely fine. And he gives a reason. In Hanafi mazhab, to eat a horse, it's makruh. Why is makruh? It's not najis itself, but out of its nobleness, out of its the use that we need to use horses. Right? So because of that, so we say because of the karamat, because of the honor. Right? That's why. So it got nothing to do with its flesh or its saliva or anything. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just because out of that we need to use it, and it's, you can say in a way that it's a noble animal. It's used in jihad. We need it for jihad. So for that reason, it was only made makruh. So you got nothing wrong with the animal itself. So this was for the leftover water. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ إِلَّا نَبِيذَ التَّمْرِ. Someone has no water except the nabiz from tamr. Anybody had nabiz before? No? Actually, nabiz is, you get 3, 5 or whatever amount of dates and allow it to soak overnight. The next morning, have that drink. This is called nabiz, and it is from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
I've heard it called Nabi before, not Nabi.
Yeah, nabiz. Nabiz. They must have missed out the last letter.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about the day Tisat Ashara. Yeah, they must have missed out the Ashara part. So nabiz the tamr. Yeah, nabiz from dates. Right. And it is said that it is really good for you. I advise you that you drink within 12 hours. So put it on night and have it first thing in the morning. It's very good for you. And in summer months, some of our scholars did actually mention that drink it, because then throughout the day it will help you with your energy levels. Yeah, because obviously dates and then sugar and whatnot. Right. It's really good for you. So anyway, if the person, he does not have a normal water, but he has nabiz the tamr, he has the soaked water, dates soaked water. According to Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he used to make wuzu with it. He used to make wuzu with it. And according to Imam Abu Yusuf, he used to make tayammum and he's not to make wuzu. Why? Because the name has changed. It's not called water anymore, it's called nabiz al-tamr. The water has changed. The name has changed. Since the name has changed, it's not in the same category as water. Okay? Now you might say, why did Imam Abu Hanifa say it's fine? So Hazrat Abdullah ibn Masud radiyallahu anhu, he says, the night of Jinnat, Laylat al-Jinn, the night of Jinnat, when the Prophet ﷺ was teaching Jinnats that day or that night. There was something, so the Prophet ﷺ said, what's in this container, what's in this pot? Right. So Abdullah ibn Masud said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is Nabiz al-Tamr. In Nabiz al-Tamr. So the Prophet ﷺ replied, Tamratun tayyibatun wa ma'un tahurun. Tamr is really good and water is pure. Referring to that water is pure. So Imam Abu Hanifa is taking it from that side. That is ma'un tahur, so it's permissible to make wuzu with it. Okay. Imam Abu Yusuf is saying, no, the name has changed. And since the name has changed, you cannot use the name water for it. Therefore, the Prophet ﷺ said, make wuzu with water. They both have their own evidences. Okay? So Imam Abu Yusuf says what? Yatayammamu. Make tayammum. And Imam Muhammad, he thought, okay, you know what, I need to somehow, some way reconcile the two. He says, Yujma'u baynahuma. Make tayammum as well, and make wuzu as well. You know, you guys come up with the what if questions, yeah? This author has done a lot of that. What if, what if, what if? He's moving on. He says, What if a person he does not have any water except grape juice? Yeah, asir al-inab, grape juice. Then all of the scholars, meaning Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Muhammad, and Qazi Abu Yusuf, they all say la yatawadda'u bihi. You cannot make wuzu on that.
That was all juice. Was
All juice. That's an example. The principle is whatever it is, if the name changes, so if you cannot call that water anymore, then it's not in the ruling of water. Since we call it juice, it can juice.
Rose water, same thing. You can't do with rose water.
I would advise that. Because the amount of, unless pure one, absolute pure, no additives, then it's good for you. But to make wuzu with it, it still won't be allowed. Because we're still calling it rose water. Junubun. Now we're moving on from what if to another what if. A jumbi, he knows. Who is a jumbi? For someone who needs to make ghusl. He knows that there is a water in the masjid. Yeah? Let's say argument's sake. Right? All around the masjid, no water is available. Completely dry. But everybody knows there is a water in the masjid. And that person is jumbi. Is jumbi allowed to enter masjid?
No.
Jumbi is not allowed to enter the masjid. Right? The author says a jumbi, he finds water in the masjid, meaning he knows the water is in the masjid. وَلَيْسَ مَهُ أَحَدٌ, there is no one with him. يَتَيَمَّمُ, he is to make tayammum. And this tayammum that he will make it to enter the masjid. Since he's using his intention is to enter the masjid, can he pray namaz with the tayammum?
No.
No. For namaz to be allowed, you have to aim for higher purity intention. So the author says, يَتَيَمَّمُ, he is to make tayammum, وَيَدْخُلُ, and he is to enter the masjid. And then when he came into the masjid, فَإِن لَمْ يَصِلِ الْمَاء, he did not find water. Right. Now, what about his namaz? So the author says, يَتَيَمَّمُ لِلصَّلَاةِ ثَانِيًا. Then he has to make tayammum again, second time. And this time he will make it for the intention of praying namaz.
but that water will be prayed inside the masjid or with it.
No, now he's pure, now isn't he?
Okay, so you can.
After tayammum he becomes pure. Why is that? لأن نية الصلاة شرط لصحة التيمم للصلاة. Because the namaz, the intention of namaz is a condition for the validity of tayammum for namaz. And likewise, if somebody made tayammum to touch the mushaf, to touch the Quran, or he made the intention to recite the Quran in the adamil ma, in the absence of water. So the author says that he is not allowed to pray namaz with that tayammum. La tajuzu salatu bihi, with that tayammum he is not allowed to. In masse mushaf, touching of the Quran, there are different opinions. This author says that no, if you made an intention to touch, you could go down the route by saying that touching the mushaf, it is not an act of worship. It's not intended act of worship. Since it is not intended act of worship, and your intention is for that, then you are not reaching the highest level of purity. So therefore, it's not permissible to pray namaz with that tayammum. What's next on yours? Is it بخلاف سجدة التلاوة?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. If somebody makes intention of sajda tilawat, I'm making tayammum, so I can do sajda, I can perform sajda tilawat, right? Or to pray salatul nafila, nafal namaz, then with this it's permissible for him to pray farz namaz, right? Because sajdatul tilawa is an ibadat maqsuda, it is an intended worship. Salatul nafila, optional namaz, right? It is an act of it is an intended act of worship. Right? Therefore, with that, with the niyyah of that namaz, permissible to pray farz namaz as well. If someone made an intention of tayammum for salatul janaza, then with that, is permissible to pray janaza namaz as well, and is permissible to pray any farz namaz as well. The layout of this book is not the best, right? But then again, it's old, right? I think the author wrote as things were coming up, right? He didn't plan ahead in proper way, because now he goes back.
Didn't have an editor.
Yes, may Allah bless him though. This is wonderful work. I was reading through. Currently, I'm researching on one of the mas'ala and reading through, and I came across quite a few books, higher books. Even they reference this book. So you can imagine the acceptance of the ulama of this book. Right? Now, suddenly he comes back and he says, رَجُلٌ فِي رَحْلِهِ مَاءٌ. A man, he has some water in his belongings, right? وَهُوَ لَا يَعْلَمُ بِهِ. But he's unaware of it. Right, Abbas? You're famous now. Your name has been mentioned on YouTube stream. So he has water in his belongings, but he doesn't know. He made tayammum, he prayed namaz. Now what we're going to look at? We're going to look at if he placed that water himself. If he placed that water himself. Or someone else put it there with his hukam. Or someone else put it there with his order. Then he forgot that I told somebody to put it there. The author says, فَهُوَ عَلَى الْخِلَافِ الَّذِي ذَكَرْنَاهُ. Then what we have mentioned, there is a contrary ruling to this. If someone else put it in his belongings without his ruling la yu'idu bil ittifaq, then that person is not to repeat that namaz, meaning that namaz will be valid for him. And as for that person who does not have clothes, he's ari, and he forgot that he has clothes in his belongings. He forgot. It's possible. Right? The ones that he's wearing got ruined right, ripped up and whatnot. He forgot that I have extra pair in there. Right? Then we have some scholars, they say nope, he has to repeat his namaz. And then you have some scholars that he does not need to. Right? Some say la tajuzu bil ittifaq, that namaz will not be valid for him whatsoever. And the commentator, he says that this is sahih, this is the correct opinion. However, Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi ta'ala, he says that namaz will be valid for him. If someone made tayammum, but he didn't realize that he is on the river bank, yeah? He doesn't realize. No, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. Right? For example, if you go Blackpool side, yeah, and you're driving past, right? You see the dunes, right? And you don't realize, but on the other side it's sea, straight. There's no beach, nothing, water, straight up. Right? So it's possible. There may be bushes or plants and something. He doesn't realize that on that side is a river. It's possible. So a person did tayammum whilst that he was on the river bank, but he did not know that there is a river, or he did not know that there is a water in the river. The author says, فَهُوَ لَلْخِلَافِ الَّذِي ذَكَرْنَاهُ. It is what we have mentioned, is contrary to what we have mentioned. In other words, according to Imam Muhammad and Imam Abu Hanifa, that namaz is jaiz, yajuzu, that tayammum is jaiz, namaz is jaiz. And according to Imam Abu Yusuf, it's not permissible. Now, completely different mas'ala. If a person, he has to give kafara. He has to give kafara for breaking a promise. To break, a person made a promise, right? Now he has to give kafara. And he takes the easy way out. Right? What are the options? How do you get rid of the kafara? How do you correct the breaking of the promise or breaking of the qasam? Free a slave, clothes, or feed 10 people. If these three are not available, then fast. And that person, he has all of these three available. But what does he do? وَلَوْ كَفَّرَ بِالصَّوْمِ. He decides to do kafara with fasting. وَفِي مِلْكِهِ رَقَبَةٌ. He has a slave. أَوْ ثِيَابٌ. He has clothes. أَوْ طَعَامٌ. He has food. He has all of this, but he takes the easy way out by keeping fast. فَنَسِيَهُ. If he genuinely forgot that I have all these three, right? Then correct is, the correct opinion is that la yajuzu. That kafara will not be valid for him. He has to start with raqaba or ta'am or clothes. Now the author comes back, he talks about something else. He says it's mustahab that you delay your namaz until the end of the time, if there is a hope that you may be able to find water. So if there is a hope for the water, then you are allowed to. It's mustahab for you to delay your prayer as much as you can, right? And then if you still can't find it, then you can do tayammum and you can pray your namaz. And then the author says that he's not to delay his too much, so that his namaz goes into waqt makruh times. And final thing here now, if a person makes tayammum before the time comes in, then that tayammum is permissible for him. Yeah. What does it mean by before the time comes in? For example, you know there is no water, right? And you know you have a strong, there is no chance for water, right? Asr time hasn't kicked in yet, but you make tayammum for Asr namaz. Absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى صحبه وسلم. Now these are all different scenarios that I hope you have jotted them down, because they will help you. Obviously there's always exam, especially the kid is sitting in front of me. Oof. They have two exams, Nurul Ida as well as Musalli. No, you already know. Well, I hope they know anyway. If they don't, they now know.
Every option to
This is what
regardless of what scenario you're in, there's always an answer.
if you look from the logistical point of view, there are options. If you look from health point of view, to the last limit, that even with the gestures, even your life is in danger, there's option. But we still do, don't we? We still get away from the namaz, we still on the way to namaz. No, inshallah, we'll wrap it.
Next week, we talk about timings.
Yes, yes, yes.